Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Severed vlog. I hope you enjoyed last episode, and if you did not see it, we talked about two of the biggest fan theories about Lumon Industries and what they're doing. So for this episode, we're going to talk about more theories, but about characters. So we're going to be talking about Irving and Helly, and just all the different theories about them. So if you want to hear all the theories, just stay tuned because we are going to get all into it. Okay, so we're going to start with Irving, and the first theory, which is probably the biggest theory with him, is that he has reintegrated or is in the process of reintegrating before he got fired. Obviously, we don't even know where he went, but that's for later on. So, to start off this theory, we know that he is in a phone booth a lot, calling someone, and Bert's basically spying on him during this time. So we know he's not calling Bert, and fans did think that he was calling Bert. But what if he's calling Ragabi? And she is reintegrating him or was working with him a lot, and that would explain why she said that she has gotten better at reintegration and Petey just didn't follow the directions, because how can you say you're getting better at it when Petey was the only one that you reintegrated? So maybe she did reintegrate Irving or was in the process of it before he got fired. And we know on one of the phone calls, he basically says that they know about him or know what he's doing. That's just one part of it. The second part is actually his paintings and how they kind of correlate with his dreams. So we know when he gets home from work, he just basically drinks a lot of coffee, plays loud music that will keep him awake, and paints the export hall over and over and over again. So he does this so that his innie can fall asleep at work and dream. Of like the black goop coming out, but that's actually his paint. So he never actually sees the full like export hall. It's just kind of creepy, even to the viewers. I think it was really creepy, but it makes sense that that is basically his brain kind of colliding, both his innie and outie, just during his innie, and he gets really freaked out. He's scared. No! At least it seems like he's scared. He doesn't know what's happening. And then his innie like didn't even know what the export hall was, but until he talked to someone from O&D. So he drew it, put it behind the painting, hang in there, and he kept it there until he got fired, because we heard him say to Dylan, like, hang in there.
Just remember, hang in there.
And then Dylan went to go check, or someone went to go check, and they found the export hall, what it looked like, everything, basically. So that kind of just shows that he has reintegrated and he's aware of what's happening almost, but he was still looking for different answers. Maybe it was for Ragabi and just her understanding of what Lumon is now, because we know that she started the severance procedure, like she was the one that put it in people's head. Now, when we think about how he knows what the export hall is, there's two theories to go off of. He used to work for O&D because they said that they're down there a lot to transfer paintings or anything. So that's the first one, which is why I think that, I don't know if this has been talked about, but I think that he worked for O&D and then he basically fell in love with Bert, which we saw him do again.
It could be just for us. Our secret place.
But after he fell in love with Bert, he kind of got re-severed again, because what if they can sever your brains in different ways? What if they can like flip a switch or just redo the procedure or change the chip that's already in their head, like anything, and it makes them a different personality? It like resets their innie life. That could have happened, and now he's MDR. He was such a rule follower at first.
And once we've mapped the whole floor.
To be clear, I do not approve of mapping.
Until Bert got let go.
Let's burn this place to the ground.
So that is one of the theories, but the second theory, and I don't know too much about this because I don't think that it's plausible, but that he was a failed experiment, basically like what Gemma is. So he was down there. Obviously, Gemma came up through the export hall. It's just interesting because I don't think that if he was a failed experiment, he would be working there, because I feel like his outie would know that he's a failed experiment, and then he would not want to go back to Lumon to work there. Unless if it was Vergabi and her telling, like, oh, we can reintegrate you and you'll find out, like, everything. I just don't think it's plausible, because I don't think Lumon is that dumb to basically put a failed experiment to work and let them leave every day while their outie knows that they used to be on that floor where no one leaves. I feel like the reintegration one is the most plausible, but there's one more theory, and it's not even a theory at this point because we literally have no idea. But where did he go? Like, Bert drove him, said he's never killed anyone, but he kind of know, like, he's saying it in a way where Irving knows he's going to die. Which, if we go back to the failed experiment thing, maybe he can't be an outie for that long because he knows what Lumon is doing, and he did reintegrate, but they know he reintegrated, so they have to kill him because they can't let their secrets get out, maybe something like that. But he gets dropped off, and he's like looking out of a train window, and then we don't see anything left of him. I have no words for this because I feel like the easy answer and the one that would make the most sense is that he died. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to Helly R, who is not Helly R, she is Helena Eagan. We know that she is the CEO's daughter. She's a descendant of Kier. So there's a few things I want to talk about with her, but they're all kind of minor because all of the theories that fans used to have got answered in season 2. So the first one is just, when is she Helly and when is she Helena? We know after the overtime contingency that she came back as Helena because she didn't want to be Helly. No, like, she didn't want to go back down as Helly, whatever. That's fine, but it kind of makes me think, what about any time in the past? Did she go down as Helena? And then also the season finale, at the end, we know Mark has a choice to go with Gemma, but it's innie Mark, so he doesn't actually know Gemma. He thinks it's Miss Casey. But he knows that it's his wife, but he doesn't understand it completely, I don't think. And he's putting his innie self before his outie self because that is the mind that he's in then and there. But we see Helly, which I'm calling her Helena for this, but we see Helena basically come behind him, and then she picks him, runs off with him. But all the fans say that if it was Helly, Helly would have forced him to go with Gemma and save Gemma, get her out of there, and go live his life with Gemma.
Mark!
So going off of that, I just think that there have been multiple times where she's been Helena, but the fans don't know. And even when I was rewatching the show, like, you can't really tell because, yes, her attitude and, like, demeanor change, especially after the overtime contingency, but overall it's very hard and difficult to understand or to see when she is her outie. There are a few different reasons why she got sent back down, or I should say theories, as Helena and not Helly. I think the biggest one is for her to be a spy and to spy on, you know, the MDR department as a whole, because I think that they were breaking so many rules, and she was kind of supposed to see the rules and then report it back to the board. If she even knows who the board is, maybe she's a part of the board, who knows? But I think that she was a spy, basically seeing everything that they know, reporting it back to see if, when they flipped that switch, when they were in the outie world, how much they understood, how much they were told, anything like that. She kind of gave it away when she said Night Gardener, and Irving was the one to basically establish that there are no Night Gardeners and that she was, in fact, Helena.
Son of a!
Irv, what the fuck?
She's an outie!
Okay, so my last theory about Helly is that she's pregnant. So we know that her and Mark slept together twice, once when she was an outie and once when she was an innie.
Is baby goats code for sex with Marcus?
Now, if she is pregnant, her innie would have no idea, but her outie would. So I think that in the season finale, it's her outie, first of all. Second of all, she wants Mark to go with her so that they will end up together, because that would be the father of her baby if she is actually pregnant. There's not a lot of information on it, except the only piece of evidence that I have found is her breakfast when she eats it with James Eagan, her father. And she basically eats a hard-boiled egg, and he says, "I wish you could eat it raw." Obviously, if you're pregnant, you can't have raw eggs. So that's like the only thing, and maybe that's an Eagan ritual, who knows? But there's just not a lot of information for any of the theories on Helly overall. But I definitely think that she was Helena at the end, and she was sent down there originally to be a spy. And they just had the right moment to kind of flip her to her outie in the innie world. But maybe, just maybe, she was also Helena in other parts of the series and we just never caught on to it. Okay, so those are all the theories that I wanted to share on Irving and Helly. I hope you enjoyed. But if you want to hear more fan theories about Devin, Rickon, Milchek, and Cobell, come back next week because we have a lot to talk about.